So many beautiful gifts to pick from, I had no idea which one to take. The one on the left or the one on the right?
Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Hold your horses, Rob, you blind. You won't be stealing any Christmas joy tonight.
Ugh! Santa Claus? What are you doing here?
Why, I'm protecting the holiday season, of course. Now it's time for you to take the consequences for your actions.
Halt, you holiday heist mastermind. Your thieving days end here. Santa Claus, it's good to see you again, my friend.
Sergeant Be Safe, you're one of our national heroes. It's always good to see you too.
What's happening? Who are you?
Fear not, my good family. I'm Sergeant Be Safe, your protector and guardian of joy. I just saved your Christmas. I caught Rob you blind red-handed. Hey, it's Sergeant Be Safe and Santa. It's Santa Claus. Thank you for saving our Christmas, Sergeant Be Safe.
Oh, you kids weren't supposed to see me, but remember, the magic of Christmas lies in the togetherness we share with our friends and family. Let this be a reminder to cherish each other during this joyous occasion in this wonderful season. Now I must be off. Back to the North Pole I go, but I will forever remember this family and cherish these moments. Rob you blind is off to jail again. And Sergeant Be Safe saved Christmas. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
Remember, folks, lock your doors at night, and that's your tip of the day to have a safe holiday.
Welcome to Black and Blue, the podcast that's just for you. We bring solutions to everyday problems. We are here to humanize the badge. By interviewing first responders and discussing their trainings, experiences, and publications. Black and Blue airs weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in.
Let's go start the show.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Black and Blue. I am your host. I'm your motivational speaker, your empowerment coach, your author, and your favorite baker's favorite baker. I'm Coach Clee. Sometimes I'm Clark Tent. Other times I'm Clee Tillman. Other times I'm the host of this podcast, and we're going to have a lot of fun. Just realize this week that Clee stands for Continuing Law Enforcement Edutainment, and we're going to have fun while we do that. This podcast, we interview individuals that are first responders or in law enforcement, and whether they're rookie, whether they're seasoned or retirees. And when we interview them, we talk about their trainings, their experiences, and their publications. And we're not going to fall short today. I've been excited for this one. Most of you already know we're interviewing. I'm not going to say his name yet. Going to wait for the intro. But this book right here, if you have not gotten your copy, you need to go ahead and get it. October Strong is a great book. We're going to dive into it during the interview. You guys know that. But remember, we're streaming on 5 different platforms right now. We're on 2 on YouTube. We're on 1 on LinkedIn and 2 on Facebook, either Black and Blue or under my name, Clee Tillman, through the various platforms. So make sure you guys tag, like, and share. Hit the like button. Likes are free. Let's get this information out there. Let's share that. We have a lot of fun doing it. This platform is sponsored by One Way Publishing. One Way Publishing is the book publishing company where I got to write my 5 books that are behind me. And there's also their clients get to make their dreams come true, because their motto is they can turn a mere thought and turn it into a book that's bought. And you guys already heard Shayla's voice during the mini intro during at the beginning of this podcast. She just recently got to write her children's book, and her and her daughter co-authored a children's book. Right now it's a stocking stuffer, To Be So Tall. Make sure you guys pick that up. That's on Amazon as well. And also another stocking stuffer, Kay Childs, that was able to make her dreams come true and get her book, Poetry Given by God, where she has over 30 years of poems that she's put together, and she got to do a compilation of books. So therefore, that can be found on Amazon as well. Make sure you guys get your stocking stuffers on there. This interview is live and interactive, like I said. Yes, I see you on here. Yep. Shayla got her comment, got her book. You got another comment right here. The first comment. Yep. Absolutely. I can't see who's on here. So if you have a comment or question, you have to put your name and where you're from in the comment section. You'll get that shout out that you're looking for. If you have a question, you have to put it in the comment section, and we'll answer your question as best we can once we get the ball going. Okay. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of fun. I got a special guest. He's backstage right now. I'm going to bring him to the forefront momentarily. Some of you know him. Others of you may not, but we're going to get to know him today. His name's Allyn Goodrich. He's been in law enforcement since 2006. He's worked in a variety of units: patrol, mobile patrol, crime saturation, homeland security, tourist crimes, CI, patrol detective, SWAT, so many different things. And he's an author of this great book. We're going to dive right into it. I'm going to bring it without further ado. I'm going to bring him to the stage because I'm starting to lose my voice, if you cannot tell, because I am getting over either a cold or the flu. So hopefully my voice will last the remainder of this interview. But we're bringing him to the stage. Allyn, are you there?
Hey, Clee, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm excited to be here.
Nice to have you. I'm excited to have you as well. I've been waiting for this interview. Like I told you backstage, I can't wait to start talking about this book as much as we can. I know we're not going to give away all the gems and secrets, and I wish we could dive into it like a real book review. I know everyone hasn't read it yet, though they should, but they haven't read it as of yet. But before we talk about that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm a local Nevadan. I've pretty much raised my whole life in the great state of Nevada. Got into law enforcement pretty young in my life, around 21 years old, and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed kid in the academy, and didn't really know what I was getting into like everybody else, right?
Yep.
Had a great career, and I got really lucky to have some fun units throughout the years. I got a real quick chance to get out of the patrol kind of aspect of work, really early on in my career, and just doors opened up into lots of different areas. You mentioned a couple of the saturation type stuff, where saturation teams are kind of like, we would hit high crime areas. We'd just hit it hard and then leave, and just real proactive police work. And that's where I kind of got like my first feel for like a team environment. We would all work real close together and bounce around, and spent a lot of years in the bureau, being a patrol detective and working some tourist crimes and in our intelligence section, our central intelligence section. So had a real good career. And then, I've got 7 or 8 left, and I was like, hey, let's go for SWAT. What's this about? So
Yeah. And you're out there making it happen. Absolutely. Let me ask you, what initially got you into law enforcement? What gave you that bug, that burning desire to actually want to take on such a stressful and strenuous job such as this?
Well, you described it as a bug or a burning desire, right? And that's something who you understand, that maybe some of your listeners don't understand, but for a lot of us, and you said those words, so I'm including you in this, but a lot of us, we have that burning desire, we have that bug, and it's one of those, itches you can't scratch. And if you don't get into it, you're going to regret it your whole life and then end up getting into it, in your late 40s or whatever. But yeah, ever since I was a little kid, yeah. I just remember, my dare officer in school, coming in and his big muscles and his cool uniform and telling stories. And I was just looking at that guy like, holy cow, I got to do that someday, and I got to be out there and be active and helping people. And, the noble reasons of being a police officer is definitely what everybody, I would say everybody gets into it for that reason at the beginning, and yep. And I would say it was definitely from early childhood. Ever since I was little playing cops and robbers, I would never play the robber, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I know. Again, like you said, you're absolutely right. It was a burning desire. I felt the bug when I was 4 years old. I'm a second generation cop. My dad passed at a very young age, so I don't remember him. But I just knew. I used to hear the stories from his buddies. I used to see pictures of him in his uniform and things like that. And I knew from an early hour, like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I know at a young age, but this is exactly what I'm going to do. What is it? The ticket to a front row seat of the best show in the world. You get to see a little bit of everything: good, bad, ugly, hilarious, some sad moments. You get the full gambit.
Yeah, there's definitely the full gambit, ups, downs, sidewayses. Some of the best memories I have are just, when you're sitting in a car with you and your partner, just laughing your heads off at something that you can't even explain to somebody else who doesn't understand. No. Just nonsense laughter about something you saw on a call that only two people who were there could understand,
I have a story early on. We were doubled up in the same car because it's snow time. When the snow hits, we normally get doubled up to save on patrol vehicles, and that way backup. You already have backup there because it's going to take a little bit of time to get your backup there. So me and my buddy were doubled up in the car on a snow day, and nothing even magically happened. Nothing other than the fact that we went to go stop a car. We go stop this car. My buddy gets to get out and he drops his pen. And both of us just look at each other and start busting out laughing for no reason. And I can't, to this day, I can't even explain why we were laughing. But we were in sync that day. It was weird. It was even explaining this story. I know it sounds corny now, but for me and him, it was one of those moments where we bonded and we clicked, and it was just like, ah.
And you can tell that story to somebody else, and they're like, I don't get it.
Exactly. Yep. Got Care Systems 911. I've read this book and it is amazing. Absolutely. Got we on here. You are so correct. Absolutely. We're gonna so jumping into this book. I know what made you want to donate the proceeds to the Wounded Blue?
That's a good question. So pretty much all the stories in the book, I don't want to say all of them. Most of the stories in there are based off of something that I'd seen throughout the career, right? Yep. And when I was putting these stories together, pretty much the really good ones in there, that about, they weren't things that I did. They were things that I had seen from like a partner of mine or a friend of mine or something that I had heard about years later. Yep. And so you wanted to humanize the badge like you're talking about, right? And so I wanted people to hear these stories of what I had seen, what somebody else had done, a partner of mine or a boss, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I was done with it, kind of just looking at it, I'm like, man, I don't think taking money for telling someone else's story is the right thing to do. So it just, to me, the thought of taking any money just felt dirty. And, I wanted to tell their stories and I wanted to be respectful. I didn't want to exploit them. And the money, yes, I did put the words down, and it took me a long time, but the stories aren't mine. So I didn't feel right taking the money.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense. I totally understand that. And not wanting to take the proceeds for stories that you got from others. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing. Jamon's on here. Good evening to you as well. Like I told you backstage before, October strong. I've read books many times on this platform, and they're all good books. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy reading personally, anyway, and I enjoy I enjoy learning, and I enjoy good storytelling. And me not knowing exactly what to expect before I started reading your book, I thought it was going to be another explanational, training style book on, bring your best game, tactical breathing, so many different things like that, which are not bad. It's good information. It's useful information. It's good to refresh. I started reading your book, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, where is this going? We're talking about, there's a story here that originally seems like it has nothing to do with what I'm expecting to read. And then another chapter in the book, it's another story of another highlighted individual, and so on and so forth. And by at least maybe chapter 3 to 5, I'm like, this is really good. I can't wait. I know where it's going, but I really don't know where it's going or how we're going to get there. But I can't wait to see how it all comes together. And it all comes together very well. It's a well-written book. It's very educational. It's very entertaining. What gave you the yeah, absolutely. What gave you the bug to want to start writing and tell stories?
Well, on the whole the whole bouncing all over the place, telling this story, telling that story, telling this story, telling that story, and then having them come at the end. I kind of took the style from where is he at? My favorite author of all time. If you ever read like this guy's stuff, Tom Clancy, right?
Okay, yeah.
Well, Tom Clancy's a big bouncing around all over the place, right? But then at the end, it all comes together. So I wanted to, he's like one of my favorite authors. So I wanted to kind of use that style. And that's kind of why I use that style. But as far as writing it and getting into it, it all started, it was a few years ago. I was involved in a shooting at work. And so when you're involved in a shooting, you go on administrative leave and that kind of stuff. So I was on administrative leave. And while I was on administrative leave, some guys process things well and some guys don't. And, I thought that I was being a tough guy, and I thought, I was handling it well. And on the outside, everybody pretty much thought I was. But the ones closest to me could see, man, I was spiraling, alcohol and just not doing well with my personal life. And, my family even thought I was fine, and my friends thought I was fine. But there's a couple people who were really close to me who could see that I was struggling, right? And one of my really good friends, shout out to a guy named Charles. He was a former SEAL. He was a former sniper on our SWAT team. And, he had called me up one day and he's like, dude, I need to talk to you. You're not doing this right. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down that incident in like full detail, put it in an envelope, and never look at it again. So, I talked to doctors, I talked to therapists, nothing seemed to really help my brain. Right. And so, I was like, okay, I'll give this a shot. So I sat down on my computer and I started typing away that incident, and it felt good. I felt maybe a little closure on that. And so I never read it again. And I got to tell you, full disclosure, that incident is not in the book. Right. That's my story. That's it. Body cameras on YouTube already. That's fine. If you know, but I've never read it again. Right. But I felt good when I wrote it, and it was kind of like a way for me to cope with the spiral of my personal life. So as I was on administrative leave, as I would start to feel those dark moments and when stuff just wasn't feeling right, I would sit down and write stories of, and like you said, with your partner in your pen, dropping it on the ground, just laughing. Right. So I started just writing down those kind of stories. So like maybe my kids someday would hear them, And I just started writing these funny stories or heartwarming stories or like things of kindness, things that cops did that nobody knows about. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started putting those together, and then I showed it to a buddy of mine, and, Randy Sutton with the Wounded Blue. He's like, man, you can tell a pretty good story. Like, let's make this a book. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a cop. I'm not a writer. Right. And so what we did, I sat down with my little sister, Caitlin. She's very, very creative and talented person. And her and I kind of sat down and we started like taking these funny stories and making timelines and characters and just kind of building towards some kind of a plot that ended up, with that Mandalay Bay shooting. So yeah, it was just based off of kindness and cool things. But really, I just started it for, to be honest with you, just therapy for me, and by putting it down on paper, I mean, you read it, so like there's emotional spots in there. There were times where I would be writing and I'm just bawling, because nobody's around, nobody can see, like my armor's off. I'm not this tough guy. I'm just me, typing and putting my heart out there, and people could see it, and so it just felt good. I didn't like talking to doctors. I didn't like talking to my friends. I just want to write. I want to tell stories,
Hey man, it's a great thing to be able to heal yourself in the process through therapy by storytelling. If that's your thing, you do it so well, and then you get to share it with all of us as well. Again, like, this is a great read. It's not what I expected to read, and it's wonderfully. It's a good story. It's a good story, and I'm glad it got to help you as well. I know we in our line of work, we see a lot. We see the good, we see the bad. We already discussed that. Go through some sort of therapy, to talk to doctors. Sometimes it is very beneficial. Other times, we're the fixers. We don't always need or want to be fixed. And then going through the fixing process, it's kind of hard to relate. I've gone through therapy myself to relate to someone sitting on the opposite end of the couch that has no idea what the life is like. So trying to explain it, it's kind of like you have to explain 3 steps behind just to get to the point that you're trying to get to, because you have to give them a little foundation, and after a while it gets frustrating. So therefore, to find your therapy and to find how to get it out for yourself through writing, that's a win in itself, and I'm pretty sure that helps other people out as well.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it is, for me, it felt good to put down on paper, right? And then people started buying it, and it's making money. And to be able to see that money now go to good things, like that was an added benefit. But it was really surreal when, I start getting contacted by folks that, and this is the one thing I never anticipated, was like, you and I both know that, like, time is the most precious thing we got, right? Like,
absolutely.
I can make money. I can make tons of money. I can build a house. I can build a car. I can do a lot of stuff, but I can't make more time. Yeah. And so when I start thinking about, like, all these hundreds of thousands of, or even millions of people who've bought this book and read it, there's millions of people giving me their time. It's like, it's something you can't even describe. Like, I don't feel like I deserve that at all. Right. People are giving me their time that you can't get back. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah. Embrace it, bro. Embrace it. What message would you, the people who give you their time and read your book, what message would you like to convey to them through the art of storytelling?
Well, I mean, your podcast is like perfect, intro into that. And I think that's basically it. Like you say, humanize it, you want to humanize the badge, right? That was on your intro. Yep. Randy Sutton read this and said it reveals the heartbeat beneath the badge, that, these stories, they bring light to, I'm a regular person. I'm a human being. We put on a uniform and we belong to something bigger than ourselves. Yeah. But underneath that uniform, underneath that vest and that badge is a regular person who screws up, who makes mistakes, who cares, who may have a hard day, who may not feel right, who may be sick at work. But under all that hero persona that we're supposed to be perfect and we're supposed to know what to say and know what to do, underneath that's the guy who might not know what to do, or might, we're just humans, right? And so I remember during those riots, and you and I talked about it backstage and stuff, being on that line and having people yell and scream at you and call you all sorts of names. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm not your enemy. Like I'm on your side. Like if there's an active shooter right now who decides to be stupid and shoot into this crowd, do you know what I'm going to do? You hate me and you're spitting on me, but I'm going to get in between that guy and you to protect you. And you have these thoughts about me that you don't understand. I'm not your enemy here. I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it any better. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Your book conveys that. How has your book been received? Now that it's been out, it's been on Amazon. I know multiple people have read it by now. What is the gist of the reviews that you've been getting from other people?
So that's pretty cool that you asked that. So if you go on Amazon and if you don't know what the book's about, read the reviews. I have full 5-star reviews, not one 100% 5-star reviews on the whole thing. And I didn't ask for a single person like, hey, give me 5 stars. Like, no, I just leave me a review, you know, be cool and leave a review. Every review on there is 5 stars. So
Nice.
when we originally finished it, my publisher, Justin, was really smart. He kind of had like a test group of readers. And he picked like the whole spectrum. He picked like left wing, right wing, black, white, old, young. He picked the whole gamut, right? Anti-cop, pro-cop, and he gave it to all these people to read to just get the feel for it. And it didn't matter where they were at in their political views or what their stance on the police were. They all loved it. Every one of them. Just, oh my word, this was powerful. So it's been well received, and it's kind of like, it's got that, you know, the cover's really clever.
Yeah.
It's fun to read, and it'll make you cry. Yeah. So it's been well received, and I'm pretty shocked. Well, I shouldn't say shocked, but I'm grateful it's been so well received.
Absolutely. And like you said, I got my copy, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys go get yours. Where is it available for purchase if anyone does want to get a copy of October Strong?
So the fastest way is probably Amazon. We're working on the Audible version right now. I know a lot of people want to listen to books while they drive, but right now you can get it on Amazon. It's also on Barnes & Noble's, Kindle. It's on all those platforms. It'll soon be in a Barnes & Noble's on the hardback and Walmart and all that kind of stuff. That's coming. That's being worked on right now. So we're going to get all that taken care of. But Amazon ships pretty quick, and that's where people are getting it mostly. Gotcha. Oh, there is one thing, though, Clee. It's on the website. We built a website, octoberstrong.com. I did something unique on there. If you buy a hardback off the website, you can buy a signed copy that I will sign and send off to you. So we want to do that option for people too.
Nice. Absolutely. You guys got to get that hard copy so you guys can get that signature as well. Perfect. Are there any takeaways that you want anyone to have from the book itself? Like you said, you had your publisher gave the book out, wide gamut of people who read it from all walks of life. What kind of takeaways did they from the reviews that you've read of theirs, did they learn from the book, or what kind of takeaways would you like them to have gotten? I know you talked about humanizing the badge and showing the heart and soul of police work and the people that we impact. Would that be the answer, or are there any other takeaways that you want anyone to have?
Yeah, we kind of we wanted to help people, right? So I'll give you an example. A couple of takeaways I would say is, in general, one, I wanted to humanize a badge, obviously. Two, I wanted to bring light to some of the mental struggles that we go through. Yeah. And I wanted to show some of those struggles and some of the remedies as well, without being like a self-help book.
Right.
That's why it was fictionalized, right? And then the last part was, I remember after that incident at the Mandalay Bay, just turning on the news and you'd see like the number of people killed. And it was hard because, I spent some time in the hospital on other stuff unrelated to the case, as a detective working on other stuff and seeing these people and talking with them. And it was just so infuriating that the news would say 50 people, 59 people. It was just a number to the news. And so one of the takeaways I wanted to put in this was I wanted those victims of that incident to have a remembrance, not just a number you see on a news channel. They weren't numbers. These were mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, husbands, wives, kids. So I wanted to kind of give them, a voice, maybe.
Yeah, I think you did so very well. So thank you. Thank you.
And my mom, like when I first became a cop, she, after about 3, 4, 5 years, you start to run on a few back calls and you stop hanging out with friends and you start being cops and, you start distancing yourself and becoming grumpy, right? My mom was always like, you used to be such a happy boy, now you're all grumpy, and it's like, yeah, but being a part of this job, there's changes that happen and you don't know about it, right? And so part of this was also to if you're a mother police officer and your son's acting different than he did before he was a cop, or you're around the street who known for 20 years is now maybe a little grumpy or a little jaded. Like, I wanted to kind of explain the why we are the way we are. Like, sometimes, just an example, like you get pulled over on a call for speeding, and let's say the cop comes up to you and he's just giving you an earful, right? Well, maybe that guy just got off a call where he pulled a kid out of a pool.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what that guy was going through. So, I just want to create the why we are the way we are. Maybe for the family, so they could understand us a little bit better.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I know you hit the nail on the head with that. I remember my first, I guess you would call him FTO. When I was with my smaller department, I didn't really have an FTO. He was a senior officer, so I kind of just stuck under him. He said, "Hey, you're full of piss and vinegar. You're ready to take this job by the storm and move on and do it and do everything you possibly can. This job, you're not going to finish this job the same way you started. This job is going to change you, and it can change you for the better. It can change you for the worse. You're definitely going to go through a lot of highs. You definitely got to go through a lot of lows. You need to figure out a way to manipulate those or go through them to the point where it doesn't destroy you. At the end of this job, you still want to be able, like we talk about the guys that watch this podcast that are retired in life after retirement, that you still want to have a life after you retire. Unfortunately, our occupation, 3 to 5, maybe 7 years, most of us are kill over when we're no longer working the job because of everything that we've gone through. We didn't plan right. We didn't think right. We didn't eat right. We didn't, whatever it may be. The job does enough to you to the point where you want to have a life and something to do after the job as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like, that's exactly it. I remember, and I'm sure you remember it too, being early 20s. You're sitting there in the academy and you're out there ready to conquer the world, and they're telling you, oh, you're going to get paid good. You're going to have these good benefits. You're going to have some fun. You're going to have some, but they don't tell you, the changes that are coming your way. And you can't do a thing about it,
Yeah.
You can't, you see the world differently because of, you have the screen on your computer and it's sending you to all these calls. Guess what? Not one of them is somebody who just wants to tell you, thank you for doing your job. Problem.
Yeah.
You're having to juggle all these different issues. And then you get home from work and your kids are like, Dad, I got to go to my soccer game. And you're like, when do you have time to take care of this?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to jump right into that momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump to a Sergeant Be Safe cartoon quick, and we're going to come right back and dive into that a little deeper. So stand by.
Yo! Disguised as one of Santa's helpers, I'll steal these presents from right under his nose.
Now hold it there, you little fake elf.
Be safe. What are you doing here? I would have gotten away with this if it weren't for you.
Sergeant Be Safe, you've been a very good boy this year.
Hello, Santa and Rob You Blind. I knew you'd be in this area right about now.
Ooh.
Wow, this is perfect timing. This good family has just returned. It's always a good idea to keep your doors and windows locked when you're not home. Don't give Rob You Blind the advantage. There's very inexpensive cameras and security systems you can set up as well.
Sergeant Be Safe, thank you for coming. We appreciate everything you do. Without you, this holiday season would be ruined.
Wow, thank you, Sergeant Be Safe. You saved the day. You're welcome, and I'm happy to hear it. You guys enjoy the rest of the day. Santa, you have a safe trip back to the North Pole.
Ooh. Party pooper, be safe.
No gifts for you, Rob You Blind. You'll be put away this holiday season. Sergeant Be Safe wants you and your family to have a safe and enjoyable holiday season. And that's your tip of the day, to have a safe holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, ho, 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 ho.
There we go, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hope you guys are liking the Sergeant Be Safe. That was actually the cartoon I did last year. The first one was the cartoon we did the beginning of this month for Christmas. Some of you guys may recognize some of the voices, not just me. but there's other voices in there that you may recognize. They don't want me to give them the shout out on the platform, but I appreciate them donating their talents and their time. So if you do know them, make sure you give them a high five or the accolades I believe they deserve. All right. Excuse me. Jumping right back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got Allyn Goodrich. And we were just kind of talking tip of the iceberg on mental health. And in your book, you touch on it slightly in certain stories and other things like that on individuals who may or may not have actually been in law enforcement, but the tragedies struck them to the point where they were ready to go ahead and self-delete out of this life because of the things they could or could no longer do. And we see it all the time in law enforcement. We see it all the time dealing with the public. We see it all the time with our own brothers and sisters in blue. How important to you is it that we take care of our own mental health?
It's huge. We're at a point now where I think that the culture of, and I just won't say law enforcement, right? Because my brother's a firefighter, so they get it too on a huge level that sometimes we overlook a firefighter, you know, but working in a hospital, working in being a fireman or an ambulance driver, they see some stuff, right? And I think we're getting to a point culturally where it's no longer like suck it up and get back to work. You know, people are like, okay, we have a problem here. Let's try and do something about it, right? So I'm super spoiled to be, you know, in Las Vegas and our police department. It's huge. But we just got a brand new sheriff recently elected, and he is big on the mental health aspect. So he actually created an entire bureau called the Health and Wellness Bureau that's specifically just looking after your health and your wellness. I mean, you got a problem, you make a phone call, it's taken care of. So I think that the culture of it is definitely shifting, and I'm seeing it here as a blessing on our department, and I hope that other departments too can see kind of what Vegas is doing. And if they have an ability to reach out to somebody with that bureau and see what they're doing, because, you know, just a personal story, I won't get too much into it because it's pretty fresh, but a partner of mine, a friend for a lot of years, you know, I got a phone call 10, 11 o'clock at night that he needed something, right? And I won't get into it too much, but I got a call from my boss. Hey, I need you down here. He was down there, got to sit there, cry, hug, and you know, we talked about the incident, talked about what was going on, and he, through that new bureau that we have, everything is just, we got you. We're going to take care of you. We're going to figure this out because you got a lot of years left, right? We still need you. So it's pretty good what they're doing here. And to me personally, you know, having been in those dark pits and having felt the sunshine on the way out, you know, it's something that those guys who are in those moments, you know, who don't reach out, that I want them to be able to feel that sunshine on their face like I felt, right? Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Absolutely. I remember we started in law enforcement around the same time. I remember I was in the Army prior to law enforcement, and the same kind of rhetoric was going on, you know, rub dirt on it and move on. Pick yourself up. You have a job to do. You just saw, to you, and each tragedy is different from person to person. There's been incidents I've been on where I got to see a juvenile who OD'd on fentanyl and heroin at one of our hotels during school hours. And so so many different things are going through your head, like, why aren't you in school? Why are you living out of a hotel? You don't even live in this jurisdiction. Where are your parents? Why are you with these people? So many different things go on. We get there, and that individual is, you can tell, is an obvious case of their GOA, for lack of a better term. And I'm looking, I'm like, wow, it's terrible. To that, one of our newer officers, that was the worst situation that they had seen at that point in time for their entire life. For me, I've seen that. I've seen worse. That one did not bug me. That it was something that, oh, okay, it was a bad day. I'm sorry. Wish we could have done something, but it's too late. Now let's clean up this mess and move on for the next. Getting that individual the proper care, the proper peer, the proper person to talk to, and let them know, because had we suck it up and move on, could have destroyed that newer officer where they still have a full career ahead of them. And if they're not able to go ahead and make that full career, for one, from a business standpoint, the investment in that officer is done, that person is done, and we're getting good people and we're throwing them away early, needlessly. you know. And so I think that's a great program to have. I think we're taking steps in the right direction for mental health.
Yeah, I definitely see a swing that it's becoming. I should say, I guess it's becoming okay to not be okay, right? Like,
Yeah,
and then that's been thrown around a lot, but that's the truth of it. It is okay not to be okay. Like, you're hurting, dude. Like, let's talk about it. I remember we did a warrant for ICAC, so that's the Internet Crimes Against Children detectives. And I remember doing the warrant for these guys, and I was sent, not to get into their tactics and stuff, but basically I was in the position where I had to like review the warrant, right? So I'm going through this warrant and I'm reading it, and it is horrific. The stuff that we were going, the probable cause that was in this warrant, I'm reading it, and I just was like, I had a hard time, but I have to read it, right?
Yeah.
And it's a struggle. So we hit the house, right? I got 30 monsters who are 6'4", muscles, tattoos, machine guns, bulletproof armor. We're going to this house, right, with 34 monsters, right?
Yeah.
We get this house out. We get the bad guy in custody. We come out, and I remember the detective. He's like this tiny little guy, and he's like comes up to me, gives me a big hug. He's like, "Man, you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much. You're so awesome." And I looked at him. I'm like, "Man." He's like, "You're my hero. Thanks for doing that." I'm like, "Dude, I went into a house with 34 monsters. Like, that's nothing compared to what you had to do on this case. Like, no, you're my hero, because the stuff that you have to go through and the stuff that you have to see and the stuff that you have to read, like, no, my hat's off to you, dude. My job's easy. My job's very easy. I can't even fathom what you go through."
Wow. Giving credit where credit's due. Absolutely. Wasn't it? I'm getting a thumbs down somewhere. Sorry about that. Where'd that come from?
Wasn't me.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. It wasn't me at all. I think that was a good sharing of a story right there. Thank you. Just lost my train of thought when I saw that.
Distractions. It's a shiny penny.
Yeah, it is. I went to go chase it after.
So during the break, my family was texting me, right? My mom's listening.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, clarify, you've always been grumpy."
Yeah, to a certain degree, it's crazy you say that, because the more this job enhances what you already are. So if you're grumpy, you get grumpier. If you're sarcastic, you get even more sarcastic. If you're hilarious, you find great ways. We have comedians on the job to where mainly us, we only get the jokes, but it's hilarious. You find the best practical jokers on this job, and you're like, how did you have enough time and think of that to execute that joke that's only going to last for 30 seconds?
Yeah, I had a one partner. He was kind of a goofball, and he was kind of a goof, kind of a dork, but he had a great sense of humor, always funny, right? And I remember this was when we were like on the SAT team. We were doing directed patrol in this area, and this person, I don't even want to say what it was, but a person walked across the street in front of us. And just so you know, like, you know who I'm talking about. This is somebody we don't want to put our hands on, somebody we don't want to stop, somebody we don't want to arrest. And we're just kind of like, "Hey, get out of the road," right?
Yeah,
and then he on the side of the road, and he looked at us and he threw a bean burrito just on the side of the car. and I know there's people out there like, I would have wrapped that guy up and put him in handcuffs. Me and my partner just lost it, died laughing, just like splat this bean burrito, and we tell that story all the time. People are like, "Why didn't you arrest him?" and stuff. We're like, "Why? So he could spend another night in jail like he's done for 1,000 different times," But you're right, comedians, me and him just lost it, just laughing our heads off.
It's the little things on the job. Absolutely.
Yeah, you always got to find a way to laugh.
Yeah, yes you do. And that leading in, I want to ask this question. I asked this question towards or on each podcast about recruitment and retention. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Recruitment and retention. We're seeing nationally where a lot of young men and young women who watch this podcast, they watch the replay, they're graduating high school, they're graduating college, they're getting out of the military, and they kind of have the bug, but they don't grasp onto the bug kind of like our generation did back in our time. So therefore, they're a little leery on wanting to get into law enforcement. What would you say to those young woman that actually has the bug and wants to know a little bit more, or wants to get into law enforcement but is a little hesitant, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, you just got to do it. Just do it. I don't care. If you're hesitant to get into it because of politics or because, we're hated or whatever, but you feel like it's your calling in life, you have to do it. You have to do it. Now, I would suggest shop around, look at different places, because I'll tell you right now, where I'm at, I am lucky beyond measure, from our local jurisdiction, from our top down, we have support in Vegas, like my sergeants, lieutenants, my captains, my chiefs, my deputy chiefs, my undersheriff, my assistant sheriffs, even the sheriff. From the top down, they genuinely give a crap about us here in Vegas. They do. I don't think that's the case everywhere. And I get spoiled because I get to travel and teach a lot, and I see a lot of departments who are not getting the support that they need, right? So we have an elected sheriff. Our sheriff's elected by the people. He doesn't answer to anybody except for the people. But there are some jurisdictions where you may answer to a city council or right. And so you're not going to get that support that we get. So for us, it's very easy to have that morale and that retention. Our retention's good. Like when everybody left in 2020, we lost some, but we didn't lose like everybody else did.
Wow.
So I would say shop around, because there's still some good places out there that have that support. I know we do for sure, but I know I won't say the names, but I know there's some places out there you would never catch me working.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But even if you were in one of those areas that you may not have that support, you can still go out and you can still do the job, and you can make a difference in someone's life, even if it's a place that doesn't support you like we get.
Mm-hmm. You absolutely can make a difference. Absolutely. The second part of the question is we talk about recruitment, and shopping around is a good idea. It's a buyer's market now. You can look up departments online. You can do ride-alongs. You can call in. You can visit websites. So many different things you could do now that were not at the disposal just a few years ago. You kind of had to get word of mouth. There were so many applicants with so many other departments. You were just lucky to get on at a job anywhere back in the day. Now you can kind of pick and choose, and you can, if you don't like it, everyone's giving out bonuses, honestly, to where I don't like this place. I don't like the culture here. You can actually up and move to another state, and in most places, not all, but your time counts.
Yeah.
Time count. But let
me go ahead.
I was going to ask the second part of the question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that, for me, it was, I'm from Nevada. I had an uncle that was here in Vegas who was a cop in Vegas. And for me, there was no other place that I would want to go.
Right.
But if you're living in your own jurisdiction and you want to make it a better place, you can do that. There's that old story about the guy at the gas station, and the car pulls up, what kind of town is this? And the gas station attendant says, what kind of town are you from? And they start complaining, it's a horrible town. The people are evil. And he's like, yeah, it's same here. And then the next car pulls up, what kind of town is this? And he said, well, what kind of town are you from? They're like, it's beautiful. Weather's great. People are friendly. He's like, yeah, that's this place. Yeah. Third car pulls up. It's like, you just told those two people two different things. And he's like, no, I didn't. So it's where you're at. Right. But I think recruitment and retention can be a pretty difficult thing in today's culture, but I think we're swinging back. I think so 2020 is done. I think we're coming back. So I'm hopeful.
So I know you said your department wasn't affected as much as other departments nationwide as far as retention. We had people quiet quitting. We had people rolling out the door in droves for law enforcement and first responders. They've seen enough. They had enough. They're tired. What would you say to those that are still hanging on, that are still working? They've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot still in the tank left to give, but they're just hanging on. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. What would you say to them to still be positive and make a difference, and not just hang on just to get your time in, but actually be doing something positive, at least for the next set of officers that are coming in?
Okay, so I had a boss that I worked for years and years and years ago, and now he's the number 2 in our organization. So he's a really good dude, and him and I have a pretty good relationship. And when I was in our intelligence section, I had like this big beard, I had long hair, And I would show up to work in a t-shirt and shorts, and I had a take-home ride with free gas, right? And I had no call out, so I was just spoiled. And he ran into me at headquarters, and we were chatting, and he's like, "Hey, how's work, Goody?" And I'm like complaining. I'm like, "Yeah, my boss wants me to do this case, that case," and I ranted to him, and he just sat there and he listened for a few minutes. He just, and then when I got done, he looked at me. He's like, "Are you done?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come with me real quick. I want to show you something." So we went in the elevator. We went to the top floor of the parking garage. Opens up, and there's all the people doing like the push-ups and sit-ups for like new hires, and there's like 1,000 people doing all the PT tests, and every one of them would give their left arm to be in the spot I was in. Yeah. Right. And so I looked at him, he looked at me, and he's like, "What are you complaining for, buddy?" And I was like, "You know what? Checkmate. You got me." Right. So it's to have that 17, 25, 30-year career, and you're halfway through it or towards the end of it, you gotta find a way to get in your car, start the car, and just, you gotta feel blessed to be there. Like every time I get in my SWAT truck, I look at here and I'm like, man, I cannot believe they still let me do this job. This is crazy, and you gotta find a way to have that. And sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's hard because you may have a late shift or you may have something you don't want to do. But I have a partner at work who always checks me on that. He's like one of my best friends. If I have anything but a positive attitude, he checks me. He's like, "Smile, dude, because we have the greatest job on the planet." And I think I do, but every detail I've ever worked in, I felt like I was the luckiest guy ever.
Yeah.
So, but it's a constant reevaluation in your own head. Like, have a good attitude. Like, I'm lucky to be here. I'm going to help somebody. Like, let's do something positive,
Yeah. I like that. I like, excuse me, losing my voice again. I like how you had that humbling experience to the point, this sucks. I don't feel like doing this. I'm upset with that. I got a caseload. It's unbearable. I'm working this case. I'm working that case. I'm trying to piece them all together. And then you come and go up to the top of the building. You look down, you see, you remember the times when you were applying for the academy, when applying for departments, and just to get to where you're at now, it was unfathomable to the point where you're like, I just want to get in the door. And just let me get in the door and learn some stuff before I start navigating. And it gives you back your why again. It gives you back your purpose. I would say to those guys, like you said, you got to find your why, got to find your purpose again. Don't just go out on a sour note when you remember why you got in this job. Remember what reasons it were, what was to help people, to make a difference for whatever reason it is. It's still there. It's just, it's tarnished. So you got to get the tarnish off and get that polish back.
What is your why? That's a great way of putting it. What was your why?
Yeah.
What's your why?
Yep. Absolutely. Good point. So through the course of conversation, Allyn, I had a great time talking with you. And again, we discussed his book, October Strong. If you guys are just now joining us, it's available on Amazon. It's a great read. Make sure you guys get your copy. I may have forgot to ask a question, or I may have triggered your memory on anything else. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us that we may not have discussed, or something that you want to revisit or highlight? Right now, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so you and I talked about it beforehand, but I just want everybody to understand, we talked about the money is not going to me. I wanted to talk about the Wounded Blue. The money for this book is going to the Wounded Blue. It's the largest nation's peer support for sick and injured officers. The Wounded Blue is doing awesome work. Randy Sutton is doing a great job with that foundation. So all the money that everybody spends buying the book and helping us out, that's all going to Randy and the Wounded Blue. And if you want to take 2 seconds and check out their organization too and throw them some love, that's the whole purpose of why we're doing this, is to help them out. So just a Randy Sutton shout out. That man wakes up at 5 a.m. and he goes to bed at like 1:30 in the morning, and his entire day, and I know him really well, his entire day is just helping cops. Like he just wants to wake up and help cops. So let's support them as much as we can.
Absolutely. Yes. Shout out to Randy Sutton. And the lack of sleep, that is drive right there. That he found his why and he found his purpose. Absolutely. So support is highly needed. I did have another question I did want to ask you. I know we talked backstage a little bit more. Where do you see yourself in about 3 to 5 years? And I asked this question. Let me preference it. I know it's a hypothetical question, the way I'm going to pose it, because what is your end game goal? If you could reach the pinnacle of your goal, what would that be? And that's just for a podcast question, because I know once you set a goal, you reach it, you set another goal, you're constantly striving to get better and reach goals. So I get that. But what, as of right now, what would your end game goal be as far as book writing, as far as law enforcement, anything?
You know, I got goals and they're written down. I do have things I want to do. I definitely have some things I want to achieve. I want to do another book. The next one we're going to work on, I'm going to collaborate with my partner who I told you that I went to the hospital and visited him with. We're going to collaborate on that. And that one's going to touch on more family members of first responders, specifically on the why we are the way we are and how you can understand them. Because if you can understand them, then that'll help them understand themselves. So definitely coming out with another book. It's probably going to be entertaining, but also very informative. And then as far as like 10, 15, 20 years, man, I just hope to finish out my career in SWAT and and not get kicked out, just have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for making yourself available and coming on the platform. I had a tremendous time interviewing you, getting to know you better, I'm really excited. I'm a true fan, believe it or not. I mean that 100% just by your dedication to law enforcement, you coming on the platform, showing that you're a real person, humanizing the badge, and also the storytelling that you put in your book, and that we got to highlight here on the podcast. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Clee.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I said it's been an honor.
Absolutely. It's been an honor for me as well. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to cut to a Sergeant Be Safe cartoon, and we're going to come right back before we close out. So stay tuned. All right. Thank you.
Captain Chaos, did you mess up another report again?
Sorry, Sergeant Be Safe. I'll try to be more, careful.
What in the world was that? Whoa, look out the window, Captain Chaos. There's a real live superhero.
We have to meet them, Sergeant Be Safe. Let's go!
There's Super Crime Buster to the rescue.
Hey, there's Super Crime Buster! Woohoo!
Hey, you're the greatest, Super Crime Buster.
Yeah, we know Super Crime Buster's out there. We're actually on the way, but we keep getting phone calls. Excuse me, Super Crime Buster. I'm Sergeant Be Safe, and this is my partner, Captain Chaos. We'd like to thank you for your incredible bravery.
Yeah, you're amazing. We're big fans.
Wait, you are the police officers, but not the superheroes?
No, we're just ordinary officers doing our duty.
But we may not have superpowers, but we're heroes in our own way.
You're right! The heroes don't always wear capes or possess superhuman abilities. It's the everyday heroes like you who make a difference.
Thank you, Super Crime Buster, for that reminder. You are absolutely 100% correct. To all the first responders and law enforcement officers, take it from me and Captain Chaos. We applaud you. We know you do a thankless job and are highly needed. You are a superhero in your own right. Keep up the good work in these perilous times because you are needed. Wouldn't you agree, Kraken? And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.
And there you guys have it. I'm Coach Clee. Guys, we just interviewed, excuse me, I'm losing my voice all the entire podcast. We just interviewed Allyn Goodrich. We had a wonderful interview. If you haven't, I've put this book up here many times. Make sure you guys get a copy. Again, it's donated to the Wounded Blue as well. The proceeds go there. It's for a good cause. It's a great read. We got done interviewing Allyn. He's a great great person to know, great person to meet, a great person to talk to. This is Coach Clee. I'm Clee Tillman. I'm Clark Tent. I am continuing law enforcement edutainment as well. We're going to have fun doing this. This is a podcast, Black and Blue. We air weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to continue to do so. I'm starting my January scheduling now. I do have a guest next week. I want to tell you who they are, but I'm not going to because I got to keep you on the edge of your seat. We go live 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you guys tune in, all right? We're going to continue moving the badge forward. We're going to humanize the badge. We're going to have a lot of fun while doing it. You guys stay safe. We'll see you next week. We love you. Bye.
Oh, thank goodness you're here. I heard a loud noise and I thought someone was breaking in.
Don't worry, Jeanette. I'll take a look around. I'll make sure everything's secure. Aha, I found your problem. It's your smoke detectors. They need batteries. It's definitely not your burglar alarm.
Oh, silly me. I guess I got a little too alarmed. Thank you, officer.
I'm glad I could help, but you need to make sure you get some batteries immediately and take care of that before it becomes a bigger problem. Abby, it sounds like you're having a little bit of trouble with your car battery.
Yes, officer, it's dead. I think I need a new one.
I see the problem. Nothing's wrong with your battery. Just turns out that you're actually out of gas.
Oh no, how did I not realize that? Thank you for saving me the expense of a new battery, officer.
Well, I'm glad to find out that you're only out of gas and don't need a new battery. Looks like there's a gas station right around the corner. Let's see if they'll accommodate you so you can get on your way. Good morning, ma'am. Hey, Mario, how's it going? I'll take my usual cup of coffee.
Officer, it's on me today. Let me buy you a cup as a token of appreciation for keeping us safe.
Well, thank you, ma'am. That's very nice of you. I appreciate it. I'll kindly accept your offer. You know, Captain, it's getting colder out here, and the holidays are quickly approaching us.
Yeah, it's that time of year, my friend. You know the time we start responding to weird calls.
They say it's cuffing season, baby. You ain't good enough.
True. I almost forgot, Captain Chaos. You're absolutely right. Cuffing season is now upon us. You guys be safe out there. That's coming from me, Sergeant Be Safe. And that's your tip of the day to get you on your way.